Hi guys, how are you all doing today? So, I'm very excited today because my exceptional social studies teacher reminded me of how it's like to do presentations on a poster. So when I was younger, 6 years old, I used to do my first videos on posters because I did not know how to use PowerPoint. And also to practice my handwriting. Now, at school we had to do a research, you can see it here, for the US President's Day. So it was a four-step research for personal life and political views of a president, the laws and policies they created, the crisis management and how they managed crisis during their presidency, and finally, write a small text about the impact of his service. Now, I got assigned of Benjamin Harrison. You can see him right here. He was the 23rd President of the United States, born in August 1833 and died March 1901. He was a Republican and served as President from 1889 to 1893. Now, here, Mr. Katsetos, I did not cheat technically, because you said no PowerPoint, no AI. This is Canva, so it's within the regulations technically, right? Now this is a timeline of his life since he was born and till he died. Now, let's start and see some things about Benjamin Harrison, his personal life and his political views. He was born in North Bend, Ohio. He came from a prominent political family. Now you may think you don't know him, and you may not know him, but you definitely have heard of his great-grandfather, who was Benjamin Harrison V, actually one of the 56 signers of the Declaration of Independence. Now, he had 7 siblings and he was tutored at home. I am pretty sure that being tutored at home shapes you very differently from being in a school community, because I have kind of experienced that, so I can relate with him on that part. Now, he served in the Union Army during the Civil War, which impacted some of his later decisions and some of his later acts. I'll tell you about that. He studied law at Miami University of Ohio, which I really don't know why it's called Miami since it's in Ohio, but let it be. And then he moved to Indianapolis to actually practice law. Now, in 1881 he became a US Senator, and in 1888 he won the presidential elections to Grover Cleveland, which was his lifelong, basically, let's say, enemy. He was not a Republican though, he was a Democrat. Now, he was married to Caroline. Now, Benjamin Harrison, of course, was married to Caroline Scott, and they had 2 children, Russell and Marie. I really thought that Russell was the last name, but maybe not. Now, about his political views. He served in the office during the Gilded Age, as you can see here, which was a period of very high industrial revolution in the US. And basically this caused a lot of tensions and rivalries about wages, and also between the workers and the owners of big companies. Now, his actual political views. He supported the importance of civic education for women too. He supported protective tariffs to help American industries grow. He supported the voting right for African Americans as well as women. And last but not least, he supported the Pan-American Cooperation. Rings a bell, guys? So, let's go on to the next section, laws and policies. First act, it was the Sherman Antitrust Act, a federal law against monopolies and restraints of trade. It became the foundation of the US antitrust policy. Next act, again 1890. Just so you know, 4 out of the 5 acts I have here were signed in 1890. Dependent and Disability Pension Act. It was a law that expanded pensions for Civil War veterans and their families, and also allowed them to discharge after 90 days of service, which I personally believe is a very good thing. Now, McKinley Tariff Act. This law raised U.S. import duties by almost 50%, aiming to protect American companies from foreigners, from basically foreign competition. Does that ring a bell? It's practically the same thing as the Trump administration is doing. Let's go to his next act. Sherman Silver Purchase Act. It was a federal law, basically, which required the government to purchase 4.5 million ounces of silver every single month. Now, I guess this was not cheap, was it? But he did that to support the nation's monetary standard and to support farmers and miners. Last act, which was the only one in 1891, the Evarts Act or Judiciary Act, a major structural change in the federal court system, which established the U.S. Court of Appeals. Now, what is the Court of Appeals? So, basically, if you're sentenced to trial and you don't like the result of your trial, you get to ask to be, rejudged, let's say, in the Court of Appeals. So you get a second chance. Then again, if you don't like the result, you can be retrialed once again. But then, you cannot keep on doing this forever. This helped reorganize the overloaded federal courts. Now, crisis management. He did not do really good at this, guys. In each year of his presidency, 1890, 91, 92, and 93, end of term, he had to support a crisis. He had to manage a crisis. So guys, let me come here so you can see better. The Native American crisis in 1890, which I believe was the worst. So the Native Americans had basically lost all of their lands to the non-Native Americans because they conquered the country, because they conquered their lands, yes? So, the Native Americans had a dance ritual called ghost dance, yes, ghost dance, and they basically danced all around as a circle, and which they thought would bring back their fertile land and good weather. Now, non-Native Americans completely misunderstood this, and the Harrison administration sent troops and killed 300 Native Americans, which was a huge massacre for the time. And actually, Harrison never actually admitted what he had done. Next, let's go to the Baltimore Affair, U.S.-Chile tensions, 1891. After U.S. sailors were attacked in Valparaiso in Chile, the Harrison administration would not back off and demanded explanations. And also threatened to go to war, but Chile did not have the resources for that. So they just apologized and gave a huge recompensation to the U.S. Next, we have the labor conflict or homestead strike, which was, as I told you before, tensions between two companies. Now, a major crisis caused by the brutal conflict between the Amalgamated Association of Iron and Steel Workers and the Carnegie Company. It was for wages. I'm sorry, guys. So, even though Harrison was not directly involved in it, the workers believed that he had not supported them. So, he lost his seat in the next presidential elections due to that. Even if in his last year, end of term, as you can see, he had to manage a crisis, the Hawaii annexation push. So he supported the overthrow of Queen Liliuokalani and signed a treaty of annexation with Hawaii. Although the treaty was never implemented because he lost his seat in the next presidential elections, and his successor, Grover Cleveland, as I told you before, who was an anti-imperialist, withdrew it. So it never actually happened. Now, impact of his service, the last part. Basically, this is my opinion. So Harrison introduced major structural changes in also in economy, in both economy and justice, and he had many huge ideas. He wanted to make he wanted to expand America and make it great again. Again, rings a bell. But often, what he wanted to do had the completely opposite result. He had to go through many crises, which shows something about how he governed. He was a huge patriot, as you can understand from the Chile crisis, from the Chile tensions, which is a good thing. However, he did not know how to manage the Native American crisis. Now, this shows that he did not really understand how Native American, the way of thinking of the Native Americans, which is actually pretty bad because, guys, they invaded their lands. They should understand. Anyway, he was an imperialist. He was a patriot, but he had many big ideas. Did he dream of a bigger America? Yes, he did. Did he manage it properly to actually make his goals true? Obviously, he didn't. So this is it, guys. Thank you very much, and coming very soon with a new video. Love you. Bye.